I'm sure everyone in the audience is aware of who the Rewired Soul is. Today we're going to be doing a brief follow-up for the sole reason that new information has surfaced, and I'm a little disappointed that nobody has spoken about it. I mean, considering that there are still videos made on Chris fairly frequently, but this subject has yet to be discussed properly. One of the clips you've heard in the introduction to this segment was one of the Rewired Soul's more viral moments, showcasing what the community initially perceived as Chris diagnosing a fellow mental health YouTuber, Leafy Greens, with borderline personality disorder. I'm going to play that clip one more time, uncut for you now.
We've actually got Leafy up there. We're giving her some promotion. You should go check her out. All that good stuff. You know, say hello. Say hello.
I think she has BPD. Like, I know a lot of my audience members have BPD. If you like
right.
stuff.
As you may have already realized from that clip alone, or my tone, this is not what the Rewired Soul had done at all. In fact, what you're watching here is a cherry-picked moment from a live stream where they were attempting to shout out Leaf as a show of good faith. Chris's comment where he says,
I think she has BPD.
Wasn't a diagnosis. It was an observation of the type of content she uploaded to her mental health channel. Leafy Greens had multiple videos on this subject, and even one specifically was a poem about her actual BPD diagnosis. Wait a minute. Her BPD diagnosis? I thought Chris was the one who diagnosed her. What this clip actually had been was Chris simply telling his audience if they're interested in content revolving around someone who has BPD and often discusses the illness, they may want to check her out based on what I assume was Chris's quick analysis of her channel and the content she produced. Looking at her channel and the videos she herself released, I don't think that's that big of a stretch to say. Chris may have actually thought she had BPD based on the fact that she literally wrote she was diagnosed with BPD in a description of one of her videos. Not to mention this was a throwaway moment on a live stream and obviously not a well thought out diagnosis. Anyways, if you don't believe me, you could take it from her. Leaf actually released a full apology to the Rewired Soul for the initial issue and everything that came after it, along with a written statement on Chris's response to that initial video. I suggest you watch and read both of them. What I think was the actual issue here conceptually is that Leaf has stated that she rejected her diagnosis of BPD in a video back in 2018, which is something that anyone could have missed at a glance back when this situation unfolded. Also, no disrespect to Leaf, but she's not always the most reliable person 100% of the time, as she herself discusses in detail in regards to missing her medication. I urge all of you to watch her video, because this is not a subject I'm comfortable going into depth on. The part that bothers me is that none of the drama and tea channels have acknowledged this apology, particularly the ones who still create videos on Chris. Like I said, this was 5 months ago, and as far as I know, I myself didn't use that clip as an argument in my own video. However, what I did do was update my viewers with a description change and a pinned comment, regardless of that, which is something I try to do whenever new information comes out on a topic that I've chosen to cover. So yeah, that's it. Does it clear Chris of all allegations? No, absolutely not. But Leaf was one of Chris's largest detractors, and it seems like the misinterpretation of a viral clip led to a lot of extra wood being thrown into the flames.
That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling
Let's talk about addiction.
Fuck all
Drink
that
beer.
shit, just let me go.
Broadcasting live from the heart of the earth. This is the most badass YouTube broadcast of all of the known land, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you a very special, sort of passionate project of Shot from the Point here with the Rewired Soul. Sir, how are you?
I'm all right.
How does that make you feel? How does that make you
What's
feel?
that? I've been grateful. Nick gave me a heads up about this, and I'm really grateful to you, Nick. Tipster just did a video, but yeah, it's interesting that it's taken a while for people to kind of figure this thing out.
I saw something in the chat, and then Nick didn't give you a 100% pass, but I saw something in the chat like, well, this is old news. Well, that's not really the point. The point is we're holding you to be accountable for not getting that news out. I think that's what it is, and I don't think anybody's saying you're 100% innocent of everything you've said and done. And I would be very harsh on you in the way you handled your interactions with Nick, which I'm sure you wish you could take back.
Dude, I look back at last year and holy shit, there was a series of just terrible mistakes And it's not, no excuses at all. Like, I am just another mentally messed up person, trying to get through the day. And, I reflect on that. I reflect on last year on a regular basis and think about how many ways I fucked up.
Well, you want to know something? I said me and you have something in common. I got my freaking dopamine from something called the Baited Podcast, Milk Jugs. Late Ass C. Thank you so much, Milk Jugs. I got my head up my ass after Baited, made a bunch of terrible mistakes. I was well on my way to 100K, and there was some things that I did wrong. But the biggest thing, the things that I were accused of, were not right at all. Get this. I asked somebody to support my family, and I couldn't do it on my own. I was simply unemployed. I was on unemployment, and that got twisted in that, and it just reminded me so much of your situation. You said, I think she has BPD. Well, you're certainly entitled to think about it. I don't think it's a good idea to start diagnosing people. I do think that you may have pushed your expert credentials a little too far, but this is the reason this is important is it's the actual crux of some videos. It's actually the biggest point against you and the most memeable thing against you. The most memeable thing about you is I think she has BPD. I think. Now let's pretend
for sure.
she was never diagnosed. Let's pretend for a second. I think Keemstar is a psychopath. I mean, all right, what are you going to do? I think I Am Alex is also a psychopath. I think True Jordy is a fake and a latent homosexual. I mean, these are all things that you can say.
I have no comment on those.
You don't have to. You don't have to. And there's another reason I'm doing it. I've seen in some of my comments in my videos that one was just on here that I'm a contrarian. By the way, whoever said that, contrarian means you say up, I say down. I don't know. I want to get this straight. He doesn't give me anything. He has no clout to hand me. It's important for me and guys like Tipster and the Legion, so to speak, to get it right. And we can't sit around and go criticizing other people fucking stuff up when we're not willing to do it ourselves. Now, thankfully, Nick's a little cleaner than the rest of them because he actually didn't take the subject. But even the fact that he didn't air this part in his video, he still went out of his way to correct it. And I don't see that from the commentary community. And I don't see that from the commentary. I see, I don't like this. See, one of the big problems I have with you is the way you framed cancel culture in your book and what have you. I think some of it, like I don't know if you can call, I fear that you're kind of tying everything up into cancel culture. Criticism is not necessarily cancel culture. But that being said, cancel culture is a freaking problem. And we've interviewed other people on here before. I mean, and the problem with crying cancel culture is everybody's time he's getting criticized on the net. Onision's doing that with Vincent LaCoche's lawyer, apparently. That there would be no room for criticism because you can always shame somebody to being a part of cancel culture. That's a lot of money, I guess. That being said, after the Me Too movement, we're seeing people get destroyed. And we're also, what's most important, no path to redemption.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, like there were plenty of things that I did wrong and I've learned a lot, but this specific situation, like you guys showed the clip from Jay Aubrey's video. Yeah. He was just one of the many creators, because what people have to understand is, although there's still not a video to this day where I've ever claimed to have any kind of license or anything like that, but you combine with people calling me, fake therapist or whatever, and then saying that I'm diagnosing people, when you put those two things together, it exploded into this thing, and people were turning to that specific clip over and over. There are dozens of videos that use that clip and say, look, this is a diagnosis. This is a diagnosis. And that's why, I'm very
you clearly say, I think. You clearly say, the diagnosis isn't like, I think so. No, diagnosis is a trained professional coming to a scientific conclusion. It's not I think.
And I'm glad that Nick finally pointed out too. It was based on, so when we did that stream like that, so that was a short-lived podcast with me and my buddy in recovery, Matt. And it was during a time when a bunch of small mental health YouTubers were slowly coming at me. And I was trying to like keep the peace, right? And as that was happening, you know, we did this stream. I went on there to address some of the criticisms they had and talking very calmly, nonchalantly, probably a little bit too casually, right? And before that stream, I looked through Leafy's videos, and I'd seen a couple of her videos, but she had a lot of videos, like Nick pointed out, on borderline personality disorder. And I have a lot of people on who come to my channel for my videos about borderline personality disorder, trying to decrease. It's a very stigmatized mental illness, everything like that. And I've worked with a lot of people at the rehab I used to work at who have it. So when I realized that Leaf made videos saying that she had it, that clip was me saying, hey, she's made some videos about me, but oh, by the way, I think she has BPD. What I should have said was, based on all the videos I saw where she says she has BPD, I think she has, like, that's what the that's what I should have said. But I had, when you're just talking off the cuff like this, you'd never imagine that someone's going to take this 5-second soundbite and turn it into
I can
this
explain
thing.
this, and this I think you do have to take a responsibility for. And by the way, I am guilty of this too. When I was with Baited, I got very, very arrogant, and I was very, very. I mean, part of my act is being curt with callers, and hanging up on them, blowing up. But there was a few times when I was hanging up on callers when I really meant it. I always try to keep it into part of the act right now. I try not to get mad, like legitimately mad. I did notice a few times, and you know where it was for me, it was arrogance. There is a famous clip with you and your mom kind of laughing off some of the criticism, and that really burns people's asses, especially when you're on the rise, because there's this idea, and I experience this all the time with the other YouTubers, that I can't be touched, it don't matter, and it builds and it plants seeds, and especially with up and coming YouTubers.
Dude,
you know,
it's very real. I can't remember if I talked about
you spent your clout. I don't know if you watched my episode. You spent your clout capital faster than a hurry. You know,
dude, I was on this meteoric rise just in life in general. Like, I had been sober for like 6 years. Like, I got my son back. I was working. You know, I'm not fucking scrounging to get drugs and alcohol. Then I make this YouTube channel, and like,
fuck you, 10K YouTuber.
Right? Like, within a year, my channel explodes. Like, dude, I went from like 10 or 15,000 subscribers to like 80,000 subscribers within a couple months. Then I hit 100 in a couple more months, and I'm like, shit. Like, I am unstoppable.
Got this.
And when you get to that place, you'll just talk and not think and not be careful.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that clip of me and my mom, like, yeah, that was me joking with her. Like, yeah, like,
that was not for.
I'm not like, yeah, you know,
you can't do that when you're the therapist
so there's
guy.
not a board to report me to, and it was very stupid.
Yeah.
It was very stupid for me to do, and it came from that fucking grandiose thinking.
That
and
dopamine,
shit. So,
that dopamine you're getting. That's
oh
where it
yeah,
comes
dude,
from.
I'm an addict. I fucking love some dopamine. You know what I mean?
I mean, how could you not if you want to do this for a living? How could you not if you want to be great? How do you not if you don't want to placard 100K or 1 million? You have to be a little bit addicted to this. You have to be willing to show off. But my thing is, it's no excuse for not telling the truth and getting it right. It's also not an excuse for even for somebody to lie about a liar. Or somebody who made a mistake, and I think it cuts both ways, and I get a feeling that a lot of folks in the commentary community don't believe it cuts both ways. That you are held up to the standard that you're holding everybody else accountable to.
Yeah, it's like it's fine. Like, something that like I am a very defensive person. Like, fuck, ask my girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like. I get defensive, and a lot of that is my own bullshit self-esteem issues and blah, 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 shit that I work on with my therapist.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But part of my sobriety even is built upon taking criticism, right? And even though I might not take it that well at first, it's a lot more difficult when something like that clip gets taken out of context, and it's like, you guys are criticizing me for something that isn't really legitimate. And then what happens, unfortunately, is you're like, okay, well, that criticism isn't valid. And then it turns into this whole, he can't take any type of criticism. It's like, I'll take these 20, but that one right there that you guys are building most of your case off of, you know what I mean? It's like having a piece of evidence in a murder case that's completely tainted and contaminated, that everything was built off of. Like, that was the clip. Yeah. That was the clip.
Well, I know what my clip was. You know? My clip was satirical. It was even worse than yours. Yeah. I held my child up, and the title of the video was Keemstar will no longer feed my family. I need food. I held my child in the intro, much like we did it today, and I told him I was going to put him up for adoption because Keemstar refused to pay the bills. It was jarring. Like, my attempt to sort of show how ridiculous the criticism is and how baseless it was. And honestly, I think it's even worse than your thing, was a spectacular backfire. The memes never bothered me about it, but the idea that it was just an employee for a few months. I mean, like, this wasn't a, it wasn't a life or death situation.
It's really weird because, like, I don't know about you, but now I at least try to put in a lot of extra thought into just about whatever I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I try to take a step back and say, how can this be taken? Like, is there any way to turn this thing, to twist it, to, you know what I mean? Because
I think that was my place. That was my, I'll own it via satire. That was my that was my attempt, I suppose. I suppose. But that's what really interested me about your case, and I think it's only proper for us news guys to get it right, because I'm starting to see a divide in the commentary community. I don't think me, Nick, Bobax, Augie, Tipster, we're not commentary. We're commentators. They're commentary. And I hear from them often, and they'll only really jump on stuff whether it's meaty and be very open about admitting that. They won't do it's like, all right, like this is not meaty for me. This is not going to get me mad hits. I could be doing other things right now. But I think it's a good idea to put your foot in the ring and point out what's right. Point out what's and point out what's right. And I made a little money off of you, and I'm keeping it. And I'm keeping it because I never accused you of shit, and I'm not apologizing to you either. I'm just setting the record case and showing that you're a human. I remember really in watching Joe Rogan's podcast when Jack from Twitter and Tim Pool was there. And they talked about, like, for guys like Milo Yiannopoulos, people that have fucked up on Twitter before, and people that have maybe even taken off of Twitter for illegitimate. Where's the road to redemption? Why is this why lifetime banishment? What does this mean? Why are we doing this to people? That is legitimate cancel culture. I don't necessarily agree with your interpretation in your book, but that is legitimate cancel culture. No road to redemption. No forgiveness. People sit there saying in the chat that I'm being a contrarian or I'm sucking up to my enemies because that's what I always do. No, we got it wrong. We're fixing it. It's like this guy. I do think there was some criticism about you diagnosing people, not maybe officially, but it sure felt like it. And I think some of that criticism is legitimate. But at the same time, that's not an unforgivable sin.
I try to be extra careful now. Like, for example, I've had some recent videos, like when Trisha Paytas had a recent drama with the dissociative identity disorder, the multiple personalities and everything. Like, I made very sure before mentioning anything, I showed clips of Trisha Paytas saying she had this and talked to mental health professionals. I'm like, I am just relaying this information and discussing it. So I've tried to learn, try to be a little bit more careful and everything. But as far as like the road to redemption, like this is something that's huge for me because I'm a recovering drug addict. Like you guys are seeing the, even though this isn't an amazing version of Chris, this is the best version of Chris, right? Yeah. 7.5 years ago, I was a fucking scumbag. I wasn't even allowed to see my son because I couldn't watch him without being high, drunk, whatever. Around my son when he was 3, I burned bridges with friends and family, and I worked really hard to redeem myself, and thank God I have my family and my son and everybody back in my life. But I've also worked with thousands of addicts, and something that holds addicts back from getting sober, which, there's a million reasons, but one of them is, can they ever recover from this? Like, can they ever repair their life? So I've always tried to have hope that somebody can redeem themselves, and that's kind of where
I got to interrupt you. I got to address somebody in the chat. The iconic guy. Yes, we watched the Primic video, and it was very good, and it was 99.9% fucking dead on. He got one thing wrong. It's not the fucking end of the road. There's a road to redemption for you too. Are you listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? Are you listening to anything? Or if you just, hey, look, if you want to hate Chris, go fucking hate Chris. Upper right hand corner, click. And you can go on hating Chris, and it's no skin off my fucking back. Chris is
I'm
no
used to it.
goddamn angel, but he is not a murderer. He's not a false rape accuser. He's not a pedophile. He's not any of these things. So we got the one thing right, and that was the golden shot. They accused him of diagnosing people when he was saying, "Yeah, I think they're going to BPD." I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't think Chris should do that kind of stuff, right? I don't think former addicts really should be making, and this is how I feel, Chris. I don't think former addicts should be doubling as therapists. But guess what? They have every right to if they want to. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not against him getting it. I'm against Tommy go, cancel culture was overblown. No, I didn't even say that. You don't have listening skills. I'm saying not all cancel culture is healthy and not all of it's bad. And I clearly stated that. You have a mental block. That's what's going on here. You have a mental block. Cancel culture when let's get rid of somebody at I don't know, Zlazo is wrong. And then we get somebody like Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, good. Fuck him. You got every right to speak out on who you want against. You want to speak out against Chris. You want to speak, and you're sitting there writing Primic. Stop. It just sounds like you're fanboying to me. And by the way, I think Primic made a great video. I think 99. I think Nick's video is right on the money, and I think those criticisms are right on the money. Nobody's letting Chris off the hook. What we're saying is the most memeable, the biggest thing, the feed my family meme is bullshit. So go fuck yourself.
Precisely. And
listening skills, they're simple. Ugh.
So I'll say this, Primic's original video, it was great. It had amazing criticisms and everything, but the follow-up video was largely based around leafy greens as well.
Okay.
And that's what Jay Aubrey's video was too.
Okay.
So those are the things where, I'm glad that you guys are addressing it. And here's the thing, Tommy. Yeah. I know you and Nick and Tipster and whoever else decides to discuss this, it's will anybody go back and kind of correct the record? And I don't think so, because when this first went down, there was somebody, I'll leave the YouTuber out of it, but they actually did address this. They addressed this exact thing, and the mob came after them so hard because they tried to do it. They tried to do it in the heat of all this, and they took that video down because they got so much hate, dude. I don't know if anybody else will go back and try to just even correct this one piece and say, hey, Chris was a fucking idiot in all these other areas, but this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I don't know.
Somebody wrote "What a Nerd City." Come clean, like Chris did. That's his redemption arc. That's the first part. Come clean. Stop doubling down on lies. The guy over here is not doubling down on lies. It's very simple. So let's go back to some other stuff. This isn't the first time you've had a problem, and we're not just talking about I like
where's this going?
Flood people are interesting. One of the most interesting thing about you lived a dream. You got to play video games at the highest level, and really when esports was becoming, they had pro gamers. Yeah, there was pro gamers like Twin Galaxies had a few guys. I think the first pro gamer ever was just Disgrace. I can't remember which tipster was here. You remember his name. But you got in it on Counter-Strike when it was paying big, and you got to rub noses with Rod, Slasher, as everybody knows. You got to run, and can you tell me what that lifestyle was like? As DJ Wee put it, it's not all unicorns and it's not all rainbows and unicorn farts. Tell me a little bit about your esports career, because everybody wants to play games for a living. Everybody wants to do that, and
a lot of that was a blur because that's when my addiction was taken off. But no, dude, I remember playing a lot of Counter-Strike when I was in high school. I got into it, and the Las Vegas gaming scene was huge, dude. We had LAN centers. Every couple miles, you could find a fucking computer gaming cafe.
Wow.
And, I didn't start drinking until the end of my senior year, but I remember Friday nights after our varsity football games, I'd play in the game and we'd go down to a LAN center and just game. I wasn't partying. Yeah. But anyways, I remember sitting there. This is when CPL was the biggest Counter-Strike tournament. I remember sitting there. I'm like, holy shit. People are traveling around the world for video games? What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
It was crazy. So when was that? 2002, 2003? And I was like, I wonder if I can get into this, And it was this weird fucking Cinderella story. I won't, dive, I won't give you all the crazy details, but I started at the bottom for this website called Gotfrag, which was like the ESPN of esports back then.
I remember that.
Yeah, when nobody was really taking it seriously.
It was big. They could Quake stats as well. You know?
Yeah. And I started there. Some guy's computer busted. So I took over for him doing match predictions. People love my predictions, and then I started doing this deep analysis, and that's when it took off, and I became a top analyst for Counter-Strike 1.6, and then one of the best teams in the world, Team 3D, ended up paying me to create them a personalized playbook for a big tournament called WCG. It was this international tournament, and they had been on this losing streak for a while. So they hired me. Dude, they paid me $200, right? And this thing took me like 40, 50 hours to create, right?
Yeah,
I went, my buddy, he worked at Office Max in the printing department. I had him printed up. I mailed it to him.
It's a couple cents
and they went to that tournament. It was in San Francisco. I actually went to that tournament, and they ended up fucking winning. They won like over $100,000. And I'm like, and I got $200 fucking dollars, but they used my playbook. And it was this kind of, because nobody really analyzed teams the way I did. And it was this really like proof of concept, like, wow, because I was analyzing teams the way you would analyze like a football team, right? Like, here's where people play, here's how they rotate, here's what to do if they, whatever.
Yeah.
So months later, they ended up hiring me. I was actually the very first professional esports coach, because they hired Team 3D hired me.
Did you know Sir Scoots, because he's a legendary Counter-Strike coach? Did you rub nose with those guys?
Oh yeah, no, I worked with Scoots at Gotfrag. He was one of my bosses, mentors. There was Trevor Midway Schmidt, and a lot of those guys, like Scoots, he's still in it. I believe Midway's still in it too. A lot of those guys are, and they're making a living off this. And I'll tell you this, as a father, and you probably get this too, since you're a gamer, like, I just think it's cool because my son, he's a little gamer, and just knowing that you could do something you love and make a living, like, that's so fucking
amazing.
Cool.
It's amazing.
That's the dream, right?
It's not even like work. And then what happens is, if you love your work, you become a workaholic, and stuff like that. So you're really in the birth of this thing. I mean, Fatality's probably the most famous gamer in the world at that point for Quake 3, going on into Quake Live. You're playing, you're meeting these guys. This is the infancy. Well, I would say it's the infancy. It's like the second wave of pro gaming, because it really gave birth with first-person shooters. And like you told me before that you didn't think you were that talented, but you could hang because of your, I guess, your defensive and offensive strategies. Can you explain that? Because you played at that level. You must have been a little talented. You must be better than me, So, I realized, early on, it's almost like anything in life. Like, you gotta just be self-aware of your strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, I'm a big dude. I don't have the fastest fucking reflexes and everything like that. But where I excelled was my intelligence of the game and the strategy. You know what I mean? You were a fourth-line grinder, right?
Yeah.
I always like to say there was always a Jewish kid on my baseball teams growing up. Every kid had a Jewish kid. They even have one in the band who's Bear, maybe he wasn't the best player, but goddamn, he knew everybody's stats.
Was
that you? You were the Jewish kid in the baseball team?
I was the Jewish baseball kid. Right. So people would come to me for strategies and everything, and like Fatality actually started a short-lived Counter-Strike team for a little bit. I used to I used to play pickup games with him and some other guys.
He's my hero. He's Babe Ruth to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if he still lives here in Las Vegas, but he moved out here a while back.
He does. I keep track of him. I'm one of the only guys that watches the stream. I keep track of him. He's so filthy rich. He streams what he wants, and he doesn't even pull. Yeah. I actually asked Keemstar to take him in a Friday Night Fortnite. I think he's still. I don't know. I'm sure he couldn't play at the top level anymore. And he doesn't have like a Dr. Disrespect or Ninja personality, I think, to carry a big stream, but he's still damn good. He still has that aim. He still has that
for sure.
The only guy that came close to him was DeHang, and those guys are just legendary players. And I think a lot of the current generation, even the Twitch streamers to some extent, really owe your generation a great deal. I think it really it goes from Twin Galaxies to you guys to those guys owe you a lot. I think they really do. I think what happened is it must be really difficult to stay at that level of the competitive game because so many people leave and go stream or do something else because and I think there's a lot of luck involved too, and so it's like get famous, get out, get the name, brand yourself, and get out.
Well, it's like professional sports, right? Like you become a top player, right? You get your name or whatever, and then you get into like the industry because that's more long lasting, because it's like an NFL player who goes on to become like a commentator, right? Or a basketball player. Like your body, it's not the same for like gaming, obviously, but as you get older, your reflexes slow down. So that's kind of like the more like secure job, right? But like you said too, I thought about that a lot lately. There's more of a business of streaming now than there is to be like on a team.
Yeah.
And I really hope that changes. Like, I hope streamers keep doing their things or whatever, like, I think
but
next
it seems like you got to get famous
teams.
in that world, which is a lot more difficult. Not to say that's not, like, there's two types of pro gamers. There's the pro gamer, tournament gamer, and there's the pro entertainment gamer. That's what it seems to have divided up to me. And I think it's just because, well, let's be honest too. Like, how old were you when this boom happened? How old were you when you first got your first fan?
17, 18.
So you're a kid. But here's the thing: the most, like, unlike athletes, great athletes wash up around 38 to 40. Esports guys wash up at 25. And that is a short lifespan, because I was told by a doctor is that fine. It's actually never better than when you're 13 or 14. That fine hand-eye coordination does dissipate, and it wouldn't affect a pro athlete, especially a contact pro athlete. But when it comes to games like aiming, that it is going to go away, and that's also why you can see guys that are 50 and 60-year-olds play retro games at a high level and just completely break the machine. When it comes to aiming, and I guess with clicking with StarCraft or something like that, that goes away. It's just like anything else with your body, and it goes away a lot quicker than it would for any kind of ball player, especially a contact sport guy. So you have this whole thing. You're in the infancy. You're going to these big tournaments. You were lucky enough to grow up in Walgate. You're hanging out with the guys. You're meeting them. What happened?
Dude, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just a fucking idiot. Like, it's funny because we were talking about the YouTube thing and like the ego and fucking grandiosity.
Similar thing.
Same fucking shit. My ego is my fucking worst enemy. I just got, dude, like, it was a combination. That's when my addiction started kicking off. Like, it was before drugs, but I was really drinking a lot. But also this idea of, that idea you get where like, oh, this whole, like, I was working for Godfrag, the #1 website. I'm like, oh, this whole website would fucking crumble if I left, right? When I was with Team 3D, like, this team wouldn't be shit without me. And just, I thought I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. And I left Team 3D and I begged for my job back at Godfrag. I remember just being like, because Godfrag was begging me to stay when I was leaving to go coach that team. So I begged Godfrag to come back, and I was like, listen, just like, I want to be in this. Like, let me, I'll write again. I'll do whatever. You guys don't have to fly me out to events. And I was just trying to be very humble, but that lasted like 5 or 6 months before I started getting my ego again, and and all that. And anyways, I just kind of slowly faded out of the scene, and my addiction really spiraled out of control. And I stopped caring about anything, like that's just the way drugs and alcohol are. And I always kept kind of a foot in it, like by personally playing, but I burned a lot of bridges with a lot of those pro players that I knew too, a lot of people who were high up in the industry. So as my life was kind of at this halt, standstill, whatever, the esports thing was really taking off. MLG, years later after I left, MLG ended up buying Godfrag for I think over $1 million. And just so many people got a fat stack of cash, right? And then a lot of them used that to start other projects, and they kind of stayed in it. And DirecTV ended up starting a gaming league called CGS, and I was brought back into that to do to work with a team called the Dallas Venom. but my addiction was really bad. Found out my girl was pregnant with my son, and I bounced out again. And but yeah, ever since then, I've just been gaming casually. I played Dota 2 for a while.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I've been really into Fortnite, and I have a friend from who I built myself up with in the Counter-Strike scene. He's been begging me to get back into esports for years. For years, he's been begging me. And finally, Valorant came out, and one of the guys I used to coach, he's one of the head developers. His name's Sal Volcano. And Valorant is it's amazing. And like my esports passion is fucking back. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something. I don't know where I'll take it, but
Why
it's
did
fun.
you think you burned those bridges with those? Can you have an incident? Maybe a funny story.
I wish it was
just being a
it was
dick.
just me. Just me being a lot of shit talking and being a dickhead, and just that idea of you're nothing without me, right? And like something I've realized is, like, when you leave any business, it is for anybody at any company you're working for. When you leave, they'll keep going. They'll be fine.
Nobody.
We always get this. Yeah,
I've had people come through here and think I can't live without them as well.
yeah. There'll be a little adjustment period.
But I mean, well, first of all, I don't think it's. First of all, it was only a handful of people, like 2 or 3 people. Like, I have to pay my bills with this, so you're damn right I'm going to adjust. You may be valuable, but you're never as valuable as you think you are. Especially when I'm paying my bills with this stuff. So that happened. So no esports jobs. I mean, through 2010s, MLG, or now we're getting 2006, 7, 8, 9. These are big things. The worst thing happens in esports history. Mr. I got hurt. I was a huge fan of Live on 3 from
yeah,
and then he got hired by Twitch, and I'm happy for him. And he's got a kid. We're about the same age, me and Wheat, and I think he's a year or 2 younger than me. And he goes, and the fighting game community owes him a lot, and they gave him a lot of shit.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I almost want to talk esports for a little bit, because I'll never forget when Wheat was pushing guys like Justin Wong for Street Fighter, and the tournaments for Street Fighter 4 when it just came out, and he went to and I think it was in Vegas as well. And you had
they did
douchebags, you had douchebags like Mr. Wizard, with his clannish sort of island mentality, sitting there. It's like, who are these guys coming in? Who are these guys? Who are these guys? And I remember Wheat went on this epic rant. This is the guy that really inspired me to do this show. He goes, what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to make sure Justin Wong can pay his rent. I'm trying to make sure he's trying to get the guy. Like you sit there, he sits there and wins tournament after tournament. He walks away with a couple $100. That's what I'm trying to do. We have, on the first person shooter side, on the StarCraft side, a record of making these guys professional. They sacrifice school. They sacrifice just about everything that they should be doing for gaming, for other people's entertainment. I want them to get paid. Now, Mr. Wizard is, now he's a professional esport guy. Back then, he was like, hey, man, you're coming in, you're moving in. Like he was like the fighting game hipster. It's still.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly. There was this huge thing. Like, I remember, like, back in my day, it was that very underground kind of like, dude, they were doing just like, aside from Counter-Strike tournaments and these little dingy places, but even like fighting games and like the old school Smash on GameCube, and just
those guys didn't start making money until recently. And I think a lot of that has to do with DJ Wheat and Live on 3, and most people don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I respect the hell out of those guys.
And Rod as well, a Slasher as well. Guys like Sir Scoots. I mean, these are the pillars that nobody really knows or recognizes, because I'm always interested in the politics side of things. I don't understand esports on a level that you do, but I do understand politics, and I do understand sports. And those guys were the pillars to make guys like in the FaZe Clan millionaires. It's not that they didn't do it themselves. It's that the car was built to drive. When they got in it, they know how to drive it. There were
so many people who just set up this this foundation to put esports where it is today. You know what I mean? And I really hope that there's just and I don't give a shit if I'm in there, because like compared to what people like Scoots and DJ Wheat and some others have done, like I was just a fucking side person. You know what I mean?
But you were a part of that.
Yeah,
you were a part of that. I'm not saying you were a pillar, or that, but you definitely helped a part of it. I mean, look. I was in the Iraq War. I mean, I wasn't a war hero by any chance, but I was there. You can't take that tip. So Justin Wong was getting scraps because Triforce and Empire Arcadia were screwing him. Wouldn't be surprised when they got out of there. It was the best day of his career. Thank you, Tipster. I know he's loving this. Because Tipster, you guys are in your 30s and I'm in my early 40s. But I started when I got back from Iraq. Esports was a real escape for me. Live on 3 was a real escape for me. And also, when my wife bounced on me and I was stuck in Germany alone, I ran into my friend and we started doing a hockey podcast. Well, if he could, I want to do what Wheat does, what Stern does. And I want to do that for hockey, and it just turned into YouTube drama. We were doing hockey drama, now we're doing YouTube drama, and then it became kind of trending topics and stuff like that. And that's why this is that's why this is important to me. So I guess I suppose I guess we got like you seem, in my opinion. Don't let me down, by the way. You seem generally reflective. You seem generally sorry. And you seem like you really want to, get back in there. I mean, I got to play with you, and we tired you out. For 3 hours straight, we played.
For sure.
We tired you out. And it was a lot of fun. And I just, what's the future? I mean, is it fair for me to say, like, you've had these 2 incidents? It's led to a serious drug addiction. It's led to could it happen again? Not so much falling off the wagon, but maybe the personality trait you have. Could it lead to that again?
It's a lifelong thing. Like every day I try to wake up with this goal of just being a little bit better than I was yesterday. And I try to pick something, right? Be a better father, be a better YouTuber, be a better friend, be a better, whatever. And like, it's, we can all say, oh yeah, I'm just going to be this amazing person. But, here's the thing about me, and this is not to toot my own horn, but I hope it inspires if nobody else, I hope it's something to my son. Like if I die tomorrow, I hope it's something that my son remembers about me, is that I'm somebody who never fucking gives. Like that's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I will keep getting up. I will keep getting back up. No matter how many times I knock myself down, it's like, okay, look at that. What'd you do? Where'd you fuck up? What happened? How do you learn? How do you grow? Right? And if nothing else, like even if there's still thousands of people who fucking hate me, I just hope some of them look at me like, damn, that that dude's that guy has 81,000 subscribers on YouTube and only gets a couple hundred views and he still makes content. What the fuck? Like some people think I'm a fucking idiot, but it's just because I don't give up. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the future holds, but I just know that I'm going to keep doing my thing, try to help people where I can with my new Valorant Esports channel, hopefully entertain some people, who are interested in the competitive.
If you guys are interested in any of that, a Rewired Soul main channel and his Valorant channel, which is probably going to be a big esports. It's already listed on Dexterito as being a top esport. You guys definitely want to check that out. I need a code, something terrible. I got a new rig coming in.
Ooh, this game fucking runs smooth. Like my computer's not that great.
But I want to, you know what it is? I want to stream through. I'm gonna use the rig now. I want to stream like a Twitch streamer. Not that it makes me any money, but I love it. And also, I want to be able to code videos faster, so I can get them up because this is a news channel and a podcast, and then we have the backup channel. So I want to really work. I'm kind of past this thing where. And it still could, like, it's going to end in a year. It's going to end here. I'm done. I'm finished. It's going to wither and what have you. I'm juiced and I'm ready to go. A lot of it is probably because the virus and people are stuck inside, but I'm really into it now, and I'm reaping the benefits of the whole thing. And
for sure.
Yeah, I'm reaping the benefits of the whole thing. I don't know. I feel like we're done. I feel like we're done, and I guess the only thing if anybody is interested, if anybody's interested, the reason one of the reasons I do this, like Nick was telling me, like every other day, Rewired Soul sent me this, and it was funny. Rewired Soul sent me that, and it's funny. He's like, "Fucking, what do you mean? You just fucking roasted that guy? What do you?
I'm fucking hilarious.
What are you
That's
talking
why.
about?" It's like, "No, check this out. And you guys, even though you went to war on Augie's channel, you went to war. Yeah, you guys went to war, but you also admitted you lost. You're not Destiny. You admitted you lost, and then you're like, what the fuck? Let's be friends, And then Nick kept telling me, this guy's a good guy, and wouldn't it be funny if you had him on your channel? And I was really resistant to it. I was like, how can we bury somebody like this and then put him on the channel? And then he started showing me your stuff, and then I followed, and I thought you were funny, and I think everybody deserves a second chance. I mean, I got a second chance, and that from my fans.
It's like UFC. It's like UFC fighters, right? Like they beat the shit out of each other and then they shake hands. You know what I mean?
You never did anything that was unforgivable. You did some bad stuff, But it's not unforgivable. And if anybody want to watch, I'm not going into it or what have you, can go watch Jay Albrecht. You can watch Primic's video, and I would actually personally recommend Nick's video. And I'm not apologizing to you. I'm not saying there's not decent criticism from all those guys. All I'm saying is I think that I think you have been, to me, you have been the most honest about yourself. And I personally hate I'm going to make myself a better person. Yeah, bullshit. You seem to be the guy, but I'm kind of seeing it. So, to be kind of pinned down, I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, with something you actually didn't do, I thought was important. It doesn't mean you did do anything, but I thought it was important to do that. And there is no value in it. You're not paying me. There's no value. There's no clout in this. I'm not going to get as many hits. It's very easy for commentators to make a video, cash in on it, get a couple thousand hits, get 1 million hits from it, have some information change, and just walk away and ignore it and pretend it didn't happen. And absolutely. I think it takes a lot more balls. And I think it's also a lot more interesting, whether it gets the hits or not, to find out, hey, this is what went wrong. I'm not calling out any of those two other guys. I think they should apologize to you, though, or at least fix it or make an effort to update those. I'm not calling for anybody's video to be taken down or anything like that, but I think they do owe you an apology, and they owe you an update, not even a retraction, an update. And I think that's fair.
I'll take what I can get. It's something where it's like I'm not the type of person where I'm like, oh, I just want to forget about it completely and shit like that, because that's a lie. You know what I mean?
It pisses you off. It pisses you off.
It's still there. Yeah, but it's still there, and it's just like I'm out of that insane place where I'm making video after video trying to defend myself and writing a fucking book, and I'm just done with all that shit. When you and Nick, told me like, hey, we came across this, I'm like, fucking cool. You know what I mean? And I just go on with my day, and if I can help some people along the way, give them a little bit of hope, cool. If people want to fucking do updates, awesome. If not,
well, I'll be on record. It's like, I don't have a problem with guys like you talking about, your addictions, your past problems and stuff like that. I don't. I do have a little bit of a problem with you giving people advice. I do. But you know what? It's your right to do it, and I hope you do it responsibly if you do it. And I think that's a fucking fair criticism, and I think we still can be fair, and we can still be friends and agree to disagree, because you've been very nice to me. You've helped me in this program. We had a really funny podcast. I thought we had a really good stream, and I connect with you losing your mind, and I connect with you not quitting, and I connect with you trying to get it back. So I really highly recommend you go in the description box below and check out his Valorant Esports. This guy has some experience. He won some. He was a part of. You guys winning championships with 3D?
They won, and then they hired me, and then we didn't win. So yeah. But anyway, you
can't say you're not honest.
I'm not a miracle worker. Okay?
Yeah, but all right, Godfrag, but you were in there. You were an insider. I mean, you would have been a source for me at very least. When I was looking for dirt, and there was drama back then. I imagine, was it girlfriends or drugs or
there was all sorts of shit. Like it was fucking crazy. There was I don't know if I've ever even publicly put this story on YouTube, but there was one time when I was drinking underage, and there was like this little drama esports girl, like back like when you had like fucking
before Keemstar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I was drunk, and I went into this room. She was wearing a wig, so I didn't even recognize it was her. And she had me on camera saying like, trying to encourage these other underage people to drink. And I'm like, you know, hey, I'm underage and I'm drinking, and she got it on camera, and she was going to expose me, and I was, you know, at the height of my career, and yeah, but anyways, the since I was with Godfrag, they were like the fucking mafia. They went to the tournament and said, hey, she has this, she needs to get rid of it, and they told her that if she released it, they were going to kick her out. So that was the closest I ever came to like really public drama back then.
Public drama. All right, Godfrag, you ran your fucking mouth. If you could go into the live category, if you go in Back server and go into live right now, just switching there. I'm going to end this call. You go right in there, and guess what, guess what, Uganda? I've been waiting to do this because I knew you were going to run your mouth about not asking a question. You get to ask me the question live on the air right now, uninterrupted. Let's do this right fucking now. I am in on air right here with the Rewired Soul. You got your shot. Let's see if you take it. I'm waiting. You've got 5 fucking minutes. It is 10 p.m. Central European time. Don't sing it. Come bring it. I bet you won't. I bet you won't. So actually, in the meantime, I'll put a Diva in right here for now. If I see it, I'll interrupt it. But Diva, welcome to the program.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. What's up?
What's up, girl?
Okay, so what's up? Not trying to throw any shade, but I remember this whole controversy, like when it played out live. And Chris, I want to ask you a direct question because this wasn't brought up at all. Do you think that your real fatal mistake was making jabs towards Dustin and Petty Page? Because I feel like that's what really fucked you up. Because Nick's video, no disrespect, he did fuck up on it. I forgot what he fucked up on, but the first video, he even admitted that he made a mistake on it.
Okay.
But that's just how I feel, because like because like the T channel community, when you said like, I'm not a drama channel, I don't do what y'all do, like I feel like that's when it really went down.
Yeah, I fucked up a lot by just like I was trying so hard to separate myself from them, and I could see how that might have pissed them off as well, right? But anyways, they ended up leaking a DM. That's what really fucking started it, because I was like, LOL, did you see Trisha Paytas made a video about me? And I copy and paste that to like 5 of them, right? And that was part of my ego back then, like, oh yeah, more people are gonna talk about this and whatever. And then they use that to fucking expose me, and just like, oh look at this guy, he loves the drama. And yeah, then I started popping off at them and getting fucking pissed, and yeah, those guys are a very tight-knit group, and they went in on me. So don't piss off the T don't piss off the T channel.
Yeah, because like, and then also I wanted to comment on the Leafy thing, because I remember when that all went down. I do agree that should have been updated. But what really made that situation way worse was first, them saying that you falsely diagnosed her. So that was one thing. And then the second thing that I feel like really fucked you was she was pregnant at the time.
Oh, dude. So something I me and Tommy didn't talk about. So during that time, and by the way, I got nothing but love and forgiveness.
Yeah, I'm not trying to start shit. I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah. But during that time, she was doing a lot of live streams, and she was getting a lot of attention. Not only was she pregnant, which fucked me up, the optics of it, obviously, but something else that happened was she was threatening to hurt herself. She was saying that she was like punching herself in the face, and I think I can't remember if she said she was cutting, but she was broadcasting that to thousands of people, and someone found out where she lived and called in a wellness check.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up, and then they blamed you and Redzilla for it.
A lot of people blamed me, and I'm like, dude, she's a pregnant woman broadcasting to thousands of people about hurting herself. Anybody could have done that. And then there was another channel who was part of her little group, and he somehow got swatted during that time, and people blamed me for that as well. Yeah, it was a perfect fucking storm of shit that was coming my way, and I was just overwhelmed. So
yeah, no, it was bad. And then like she was streaming nonstop, and then it was like, I'm pregnant, you're swatting a pregnant woman, and then there was like all these lives of her just like bawling her eyes out. Like it was just like a really bad storm
Diva,
for you.
if I can interrupt, one of the reasons I didn't go into absolutely every detail of every mistakes is because they are well documented, and I've made it abundantly clear that Chris and Chris has admitted this long before he came on the show that he was in the wrong. I can't go over absolutely every one thing. Nobody's avoiding a specific topic or anything in that nature. What this podcast, what my goal was with this podcast was the one big thing, the feed my family thing wasn't true. And I also wanted to show that he had a background and a history of doing this, and he's also self-reflective, talks about it, and doesn't avoid it. So, I mean, I have a lot of problems with what he did. I didn't like the way he handled himself on Augie's show. But I don't think absolutely everybody, it's not necessarily, I can't stand cancel culture, but I also can't stand cancel culture being used to keep people from being criticized. I wouldn't recommend Chris's book, all right? But I did see something here that I thought that had value. I don't think Chris is Satan. I don't think people deserve to be held down.
No, I don't either. Like, I will say that I think that people should give him another chance. I was just I'm not trying to start anything. I was just asking
sure.
him
I know what you're doing. And I'm not saying your questions are illegitimate. But as far as not addressing details, the point was to move past that a bit. The videos are out there. You're more than welcome to hit them and come to your own conclusion. But at least take away the one thing that was absolutely not true. And I haven't mentioned, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. She apologized to Chris. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, she did.
She had BPD.
Yeah, she did.
She apologized to Chris.
Yeah, like it was just like a shitty situation, and I feel like like he wasn't perfect, but I was just trying to point out that like he just literally got fucked with like so many things at once.
Well, that's the way it always happens. That's the way it always happens.
He literally got dogpiled. So
because when you're under attack, like let's take the situation that happened to me a year ago. I make an offhand comment. I get in trouble with the Yin Mile Strung thing. All of a sudden, they're digging stuff up where I let my kid choke, and the way that was twisted, and stuff of that nature. So when it rains, it pours. Especially when you're on YouTube, when there's a dime to be made, when there's a monetization option, and what have you. It doesn't make it true. It just, and I'm not saying those monetization options be taken away. I'm not saying people shouldn't make videos. You're a public figure. You got what's coming to you, and some of the stuff you just gotta let slide. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying here is correcting the record on this particular issue, and and Chris is not Satan. Chris is
not a saint or Satan.
And I wanted to point out was like I personally think. And I've seen your videos now, Chris, by the way. And that's why, like, I'm always on Twitter, like, pushing them because I do think they're brilliant now.
Thank you.
They weren't awful before. That's not that came off. Let me just finish my thought. I will say the one thing about you that I do really like is that I have seen multiple times, like, people have said, like, really, awful things. And some of it wasn't necessary. Some of it, were valid criticism. And you just accepted it and you applied it. And I think that's the part that's like really frustrating for me because I'm watching your videos now and I'm just like, okay, everybody was bitching at him for doing these XYZ things, but he's actually taking the criticism. So for example, when you mentioned your Trisha Paytas videos now, you're very careful with your words. You're very careful with your words and you're going by your citing. Like I'm citing this book, I'm citing this website. Like you're very, very careful with your words. So I just would say that like you have fucked up, but like you haven't denied anything because like, we're just having a conversation, and I'm, bringing
and that's all I wanted to do. I want to have a conversation about a flawed individual that has come to terms with it, which is a rare YouTube fucking breed. That was the only goal here. All right, I got to take this Ugandan character on. So
okay, but yeah, that's all I wanted. Chris, I'll see you on Twitter, and I just wanted to ask those questions.
I appreciate you.
Chris is running out of time here. He did give me a certain time limit. Ugandan Giant. I'm going to put Vault in here. This Vault. Is this guy ready to go or what?
His mic was working a second ago. I don't know what the fuck happened now.
I don't know. Is it the fact that he just came on now and it's time to go? Oh, you don't have to go in there. You can check if your mic here is Uganda. You're right in here right now. Here's your absolute chance to give me a devastator from a man who has come clean about absolutely everything on that podcast. Here you go. The floor is fucking yours. And his mic worked a second ago. You're testifying.
Yep, it did. I swear to God, the mic worked a second ago.
All right, I have an idea. And then after this song, he's got to that. Everybody likes E-double. Here we go.
That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls
2 minutes and 32 seconds.
Oh, just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home, but my balls keep telling me to let me Oh, just let me That clock keeps ticking like a metronome, and my thoughts keep telling me to get me home. But
we're waiting, Nick, for Uganda.
All that shit, just let me go. Owers and tastemakers make us no chaser. Gets the blood flowing like a fucking pacemaker. Cut the middleman and inhale the vapors. Madman, old 10 times vapors. Cut the
Hello there. Are you ready to go?
We gon' sit here until all them heifers go. Holler at the tens, then spend a little dough.
You jamming that thing back and forth to make it seem like a fuck? Was this happening before Vault?
No.
He said he was getting his Xbox mic. I'm not kidding, that's in the chat.
It is, yeah. A gamer I see.
I noticed I had him muted before he started talking, and I don't know where I knew him before to have him muted, but...
Sounds like he's an idiot.
That's a good sign. I didn't do it just now, so I don't know
I mean, this is your chance, Ugandan. You've been complaining in the chat. Come on, your chance.
Let's try to help him. What was the crazy question that I was avoiding, according to the what's going on in the chat?
Do you know the way?
We're at the halfway point. What kind of gamer doesn't know how to work a wow?
Retard. Oh, he's gone. Wow.
All right, everybody, let's celebrate. Oh, what a big shocker.
Like the little white fellas up in M. Happy Easter from the motherfuckers living in the mansion.
Yeah.
Freestyle Friday number 9. Thanks to Rat-a-tat for letting me steal their beat. It's very kind of them.
We're done. Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And
thanks for having me.
I hope we helped you out. Keep it clean. If you ever feel like freaking out, you probably should come to Nick and I first.
Deal.
Wait, you can check if your mic works.
Oh, he's not there.
I'm out.
Okay.
Just let me out. That clock keeps ticking like a metronome.
Let's just find out.
My thoughts keep telling me to get me home. My thoughts keep telling me to let me out.
There are fans helping to find out if his mic works right now.
Some shit about Davi Vanity. What does Davi Vanity have to do with fucking Chris?
It's a team effort. Wait,
Chris,
what?
have you ever even made a video on Davi Vanity, like within the past, I don't know, how many
Dude,
years?
I've never made one on him. I've heard a little bit about.
That's apparently his biggest gripe with you is your coverage of Davi Vanity. So I don't know if you know who you are.
Must be my lack of coverage of Davi Vanity. I've literally
he said something in
one.
your Davi Vanity video that apparently didn't ever exist.
I don't have one video.
All right, let's confirm this right now because I know I'm gonna get the Rewired Soul, and we're gonna do a search of his particular site because after this, I'm absolutely fucking done with this guy. All right, I think I've been more than fair, I've
been super fair.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you fucking. I didn't roast you. You did it to yourself. For Christ's
Does he think
sake.
we're talking to Onision?
Well, I wrote Davi, okay, and the only thing that I came up with was analyzing Repsilla and the myth of pure evil. 7 months ago, the Rewired Soul. That was probably not a good idea to read. You guys were fighting at the time, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
I would highly recommend never analyzing anybody that you are arguing in drama with. All right, here it is. What do you got? What do you got?
His mic's not working.
Okay. Get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit. Bye.
Such a tease.
Oh, he wrote in the chat what it was. I'm going to speak as him, okay?
Oh, feel free.
Okay. Basically, I just wanted to say, it seems Tommy switched from to being a truth seeker because the internet tried to cancel culture him, and it seems like it has blinded
Fucking
him.
4 years
Now
ago!
he's going against everyone that is the majority.
I'm like purposely going with the minority for what all those big hits the minority topics get you. The fact that I've been getting 400 and I'm only carrying 250 here. Is that a good business model? Because my point was, douchebag, is you got to take less hits, take the fucking dislikes to do what's right. Same conversation I had with
that was his comments.
John,
He
what?
wanted
Under
to
what?
ask you about it. Under the SFTP news video. That's
So he
why
thinks
was
I'm being
trying
the
to
contrarian.
ask
Oh,
you
he's not even mad about Chris. He's just mad about Davi Vanity.
I haven't even done a report on Davi Vanity.
This literally has nothing to do with the Rewired Soul. He's literally, 21 people coming out against Davi isn't evidence. Seriously, this is exactly why people get pissed
He doesn't
off.
deserve the right to talk. He doesn't.
What did you even say about that?
Yeah, well, I had the report on Davi Vanity today. Here's what I know about Davi Vanity. He was arrested and let go. That's all I know. That's all I know. And I
didn't even know that.
Call me fucking crazy. I'm a little fucking gun shy of getting involved in anything Chris Hansen's got his hands on. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. I got burned like 2 months ago. Stupid. My fucking news channel is dead. Thanks.
Is anybody coming out saying Davi Vanity is a good guy, or even like I've been nicer?
I
to
don't know who
Onision
the fuck that guy is. That music sucks. That music blows. Horse cock. All right.
If anything, watching Jeffree Star talk about it made me think he was worse, and Jeffree didn't even do a good job.
All right. Chris has got to get out of here. He's got to go back to work. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'll be off tomorrow and back Thursday to close the day out, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Nick, for starting the show. I'll see you. Peace.
This is the almighty infinite, independent excellence, devil fighting, rebel titan, weed smoking alchemist, fake identities. Okay, you cool with Jason Bourne, running with these Wolverines. Okay, you about to catch a storm. I ain't never been a liar. Got tired of niggas playing me.
Oh God, you kidding me?
Fuck him now. Wait, it magically works now. What a shot.
Black Stone,
What a shot. Fuck about Davi Vanity.
Waffle
Douchebag. Come to call Thursday. Humiliate him.
Go ahead.
I will humiliate him. I'll make him win. He was the Rewired Soul.
Love it.
Get the fuck out of here. Douchebag. Bye.